I'm going to show you something that took me under an hour to build, costs nothing, and most creators have no idea is even possible. Watch this.
Britain is a tiny island, but what it built is almost impossible to comprehend. From a small kingdom in 1066, it spent 800 years expanding, trading and conquering until it became the most powerful nation on Earth. At its peak in 1920, the British Empire covered 24% of all the land on Earth and ruled over 412 million people. 1 in 4 humans alive. And it didn't stop at its colonies. Britain has invaded or fought conflicts in 90% of the world's countries. Only 22 nations on Earth escaped. The empire is gone. But London still processes over $4 trillion in foreign exchange every single day. More than New York and Singapore combined. Small island, very long shadow.
That's a complete faceless video with cinematic animations, a voiceover, sound effects and music bed. No camera, no coding, no expensive software. Just a free Claude account and CapCut. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I made this step by step. Now, I built this as a long form video, but kept it short on purpose, so this tutorial doesn't run for an hour. If you're building a faceless YouTube channel, your videos will need to be longer than this. But if you're making shorts or reels, this length is actually perfect. You'll just need to switch the ratio from 16:9 to 9:16. I'm Dina, and I'm here to help you master CapCut the easy way. Let's jump in. Before you open Claude or CapCut, you need a concept and a script. The concept I went with for this demo is a documentary style video called Britain in Numbers. 4 facts about Britain delivered over motion graphics with a voiceover. No face on camera, nothing. The script is short, tight and written so every single line has a strong visual moment attached to it. That is the golden rule of faceless content. Every sentence needs something happening on screen or you lose people. Before we get into Claude, I want to explain exactly how this works because there are 2 ways to build animations with Claude and they are completely different. The first way is Claude Code combined with Remotion. That's a proper programmatic video pipeline, frame perfect sync, high quality renders, incredibly powerful. I actually made a full video on that workflow already. You can watch that video after this, but that setup requires a Claude subscription, so it's not free. The second way, which is I'm about to show you today, is HTML. You ask Claude to build your animations as HTML files, you open them in your browser, you screen record them, and then you import the recordings into CapCut. That's it. No installs, no build tools, no setup whatsoever. And you can do it on the completely free version of Claude. Now, there are limitations with the free version worth knowing about. You get a daily message limit, so if you're going back and forth refining animations, you may hit a cap and need to wait a couple of hours or until the next day till it resets the limits. The free version also doesn't give you access to Claude's most advanced models, but for building HTML animations, that's rarely a problem, but it's worth knowing. For most people, the free version is more than enough to do everything I'm about to show you today. Every sentence, an animation. That's the structure. Now let's build them. I created 4 animations for this video: a timeline, an empire map, an invasion map, and a finance comparison panel. Each one built with a single detailed prompt. The prompts are the most important part, so I'm going to show you each one in full. One thing to note before we start. I'm building these for a standard YouTube video, so I'm asking Claude for 16:9 ratio in each prompt. If you're making shorts or Instagram reels, you just swap the 16:9 for 9:16 in your prompts and everything else stays exactly the same. First up, the timeline. Type this into Claude. Notice how specific that is. Exactly what appears in what order, how it animates, the colors, the style, the ratio, everything. The more detail you give Claude, the closer it gets on the first attempt. So the first result was decent, but not quite what I had in mind. The line drew itself across and the dates appeared one by one, which was fine, but I wanted it to feel more dynamic, like a rolling or scrolling timeline. So this is something really important to understand about working with Claude. You don't always get exactly what you want on the first attempt, and that is completely normal. The prompt wasn't specific enough about the animation mechanic, and that's on me. The way you fix it is just send a follow-up prompt describing exactly what you want to change. Here's what I said. This is the version I used. The key takeaway here is don't give up if the first result isn't perfect. Just tell Claude what to change and it will fix it. Now the empire map. This one came out really well. One thing worth mentioning here, Claude actually flagged something in this response. It told me that some of the smaller colonial territories, things like Pacific Islands, Caribbean possessions, and parts of the Middle East mandates, aren't mapped at this resolution level, and offered to add them if I wanted. That is Claude being transparent about its own output, which I actually appreciate. For this tutorial, I decided it was more than good enough as is, but if you need full accuracy, you could just send a follow-up prompt and ask it to add the missing territories. Now the invasion map. This one is the most dramatic. And now the finance comparison panel. 4 animations, 4 prompts, each one built by Claude in under a minute. Now let's get them into CapCut. Claude gives you an HTML file. To get it into CapCut, you need to turn it into a video. Open the HTML file in your browser, make it full screen, and screen record it playing through once. CapCut has a built-in screen recorder you can use for this, or any screen recorder tool works fine. Save each animation as an MP4 and you're ready to assemble. Quick one before we carry on. If you want free assets to use in your edits right now, there is a free creator starter pack at dinaandagnes.com. You get horizontal mats, social media mats, outline frames, Apple Look to Rec 709 LUT, and 15 CapCut effect tutorials. Each one is under a minute and designed to create the kind of scroll-stopping visual hooks that make people stop and watch. All free. Links in the description. Animations done, now the voiceover. CapCut's built-in text-to-speech is completely free, there are no commercial restrictions, and it works brilliantly for documentary-style content like this one. No microphone, no recording setup, no editing out background noise. Open CapCut and create a new project. Go to text, then text-to-speech. It's just right here on the right side. Now here is one thing to know before you start typing. CapCut has a 500 character limit per text layer, so if your script is longer than that, you need to split it into separate text layers, each one under 500 characters. Just add a new text layer and continue from where you left off. It's simple as that. Paste your script into the text box in chunks, and then browse the available voices and pick one that fits your content. For documentary style, something deep, calm, and authoritative works best. I'm just going to use this one here. Click Generate and CapCut produces your voiceover instantly. You can then just delete the text layer. You're not going to need it anymore. You're just going to keep the voiceover. If you want to go a step further, 11 Labs is the best voiceover tool available right now. The voices are significantly more realistic and you have much greater control over tone, pace and delivery. Their starter plan is $5 a month and includes a commercial right for YouTube. Completely worth it if voice quality is important to your channel, but for this workflow, CapCut's text-to-speech is free and gets the job done. Now it all comes together. Let's jump back to CapCut. So your voiceover is your anchor. Everything else gets placed around it. Import each animation clip and align it to the moment in the voiceover where the section is being spoken. Then trim each clip to match the audio. Add a subtle transition between clips if needed or if you want to. One thing you will notice when you start aligning everything is that some animation clips might not perfectly fill the space they need to cover. Maybe the animation is slightly too short for the section of voiceover it sits under. The fix for this is simple. Highlight the clip, go to speed, just here on the right side, and drag the slider to slow it down slightly until it fills the gap. You can also speed it up if you need it to fit the shorter window. Don't overthink it. A small speed adjustment is completely invisible to the viewer. You'll also notice that the intro and outro don't have an animation covering them. For those sections, you have two options. You could film a talking head to camera for those moments, or since we're keeping this fully faceless, you can just ask Claude to build an additional animation to cover them. That's exactly what I did. There was a bit of back and forth with Claude to get it right, but that's the process. You can describe what you want and refine it, and you end up with something that fits. The intro animation and the outro animation you see in the final video both came from additional prompts after the original 4. For sound design, add whooshes, risers on every cut and transitions, and UI pop sounds whenever the text or graphic appears on screen. That layering of sound effects is what makes the edit feel produced rather than flat, so make sure you don't skip this step. Then drop a music track underneath at around -20 decibels, just enough atmosphere without competing with the voiceover. The last thing to add is subtitles, so go to text, it's just right here, then auto captions and hit generate. CapCut will transcribe the voiceover and place captions across the whole video automatically. Once they are generated, change the font to something clean like Inter and reduce the character count by 1 so the lines don't run too wide. It just looks more professional. Then go to animations, captions, and apply fade in. It's a subtle animation that sits beautifully with documentary style content. Now have a look through the timeline. On the sections where there is already text built into the animation itself, delete the auto caption for that moment so you don't end up with the duplicated text on screen. And then finally go to the right side panel, click on captions, and your full transcript appears there. Just go through it and make sure every sentence starts with a capital letter. You can click directly on any line and edit it right there. And that's it, we're done. Now let's watch the final result.
Britain is a tiny island, but what it built is almost impossible to comprehend. From a small kingdom in 1066, it spent 800 years expanding, trading, and conquering until it became the most powerful nation on Earth. At its peak in 1920, the British Empire covered 24% of all the land on Earth and ruled over 412 million people. 1 in 4 humans alive. And it didn't stop at its colonies. Britain has invaded or fought conflicts in 90% of the world's countries. Only 22 nations on Earth escaped. The empire is gone. But London still processes over $4 trillion in foreign exchange every single day. More than New York and Singapore combined. Small island, very long shadow.
That's a complete faceless YouTube video built with Claude and CapCut. No camera, no studio, no motion graphic experience needed. Claude handles the animations, CapCut handles the voiceover and the assembly, and you stay in the director's chair making the creative decisions. That's the workflow. Claude saves you the time, you bring the ideas and the quality control. If you want to run your creator business properly from one system, the Creator Workspace Pro lets you organize your content, ideas and production, track your growth, income, clients and performance all in one place. There's a light version too if you are just starting out. Links in the description. If this video was useful, a like and a subscribe means a lot. It helps us know we're making the right stuff. Now go create something awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.